Okay, boxing fans, right now we're talking about the main event, Floyd Mayweather versus Marcos Maidana. Floyd Mayweather is going on to take on a 12 to 1 underdog in Marcos Maidana. Maidana coming off the hottest victory of his career over the extremely overhyped Adrian Broner, and now he moves on to fight Floyd Mayweather, who is undoubtedly, in my opinion at least, the best fighter in the world at the minute. And I think some people are going to look at, you know, the significant class difference between the two in this fight. And people who are already giving Maidana a shot, they don't seem to have realised the class difference between Mayweather and Broner. And they're going to see it on the weekend, unfortunately. So, the truth is, there was only two fighters ever in contention to fight in Mayweather in May, and those were Maidana and Khan. And unfortunately, Maidana got it. I would have preferred Amir Khan got it, but either way, it's like saying, who would you rather shag your wife? You know, you're not. Who do you want? Who do you want to do it? You're gonna pick someone, are you? No, I didn't think so. So I'm gonna bring in some of my guests now. We've got No Holds Barred Boxing. We've got Paulie Mack, and we've got Body Shop Boxing's Brian Murphy. I'm gonna start actually with Brian Murphy this time. And so, Brian, you there?
I sure am.
Good man. Why do you think Mayweather picked Marcos Maidana?
Um, it's real simple. One, it's May 3rd, and I always forget that he does have his fights around Cinco de Mayo, so he has a better chance of selling tickets, fighting a fighter of Hispanic Latino descent. So that there's that, as the previous person said. You know, this guy's all about the money. He's all about selling tickets, and he's all about the gate and the purse. The other reason is he thinks he has a better shot at beating him. Marcos Maidana, I like him. He's a respectable fighter. I'm glad he did what he did to Adrian Broner. But in my opinion, I don't think he's going to win one round. And I think I think this fight might even hurt boxing. Those terms are overused. This is good for boxing. This is bad for boxing. Sometimes I feel those terms are overused. This fight might even actually hurt boxing. I think it's going to be very non-competitive. And it's just not that great. It just won't be that great of a fight to me.
Yeah, I actually pretty much agree. I mean, I don't think it's going to be competitive at all. You know, the difference between me and you, Brian, is I don't like Marcos Maidana. Never have. I think people give him too much respect, considering the achievements he's done. I mean, before he fought, you know, Adrian Broner and beat him, unfortunately, you know, what else has he ever done? You know, he beat Victor Ortiz, but we've just been spending the last 20 minutes dissing Victor Ortiz. So, you know, that's what I'm talking about. That's why I don't rate Marcos Maidana. I respect him, but I don't rate him. Right, now, the
Right.
next question is, do
Yeah,
you...
he's
No, go on.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Brian, go on.
I was just gonna say, yeah, it's interesting because I did a piece when I talked about how every single person on this card, they're all fighting the wrong people. You know, I mean, Amir Khan should really be fighting Floyd Mayweather, not because he has a better chance of winning, but simply because it'll be a more entertaining fight.
True, yeah, true. You know, I guess that's correct. So do you give Maidana even a hope in hell's chance of winning this fight?
What I give him is 3 rounds only if Mayweather decides to take those 3 rounds off. So I don't even see him winning it on his own merits. I see him winning those rounds if Floyd Mayweather just says, hey, I'm going to take a breather, that's unlikely too, because Floyd Mayweather always comes in tip-top condition. You know, it's boxing. I don't like throwing around cliches too much, but as they say, anything can happen. You know, anybody, you know, if you take a solid punch to the chin by even a non-boxer, if they hit you as hard as you can, you know, you may go down to the ground. So there's always that. But I just don't see Mayweather getting hit by a solid flush punch from Maidana. I don't see it.
No, I don't.
And
So
he certainly isn't going to win on points.
yeah, yeah, none of that. So, what do you think? Do you think this is going to be a points decision for Mayweather, or do you think this will be his first knockout victory in God knows how long?
I think it's going to be I think he's going to beat the hell out of him. I don't think he's going to quite knock him out, but I think he's really going to just beat the hell out of this guy. With Canelo Alvarez, Floyd Mayweather put on a clinic, but Canelo Alvarez wasn't hurt. With Roberto Guerrero, which was just a sad, pitiful fight. I think it was Robert Guerrero, actually. He put on a clinic, but he wasn't hurt. I think he's just going to beat the hell out of this guy for 12 rounds and have a huge unanimous decision.
Yeah, it has turned out to be pretty much the same way Floyd does it every single time now. I've got nothing else to really ask anybody on this. I mean, why is this a pay-per-view fight? What's the point in this fight? The floor is yours, Brian. Give me something to go
on. You said what's the point in this fight? There really is no point. I'm really a little bit disappointed in Floyd Mayweather. Number one, he did say that, there was some poll on his website where he would choose the fighter that the fans chose. And then there's been a lot of reports that he just fabricated those numbers and ignored them and lied about it. So again, what's the point of saying, hey, I'll let the fans choose if we did choose, and then you don't pick that person anyways. The point is nothing for the fans, but everything for Floyd Mayweather. He gets to say, hey, I schooled this kid. I'm the best ever. And Floyd Mayweather understands something that even politicians understand. And this is, follow me here, 50 years from now, when you read the history books, there generally isn't a whole lot of asterisks. You see what I'm saying? So if you look at Floyd's record 25, 30, 50 years from now, it's just going to say what it says. It's not going to say, oh, but when he fought Maidana, he was slower, or he picked him for this reason, or he picked him for that reason. All people are going to know is his record, for the most part. Of course, in boxing, who you fight is a big deal, but he's looking at his record. So there is no point for the fans. It's just a point for his bank account and his record.
Yeah, sad. So, do you think Floyd Mayweather is the best ever?
Well, with all that I just said negative about him, I mean, I love him as a boxer. He's just incredible. I mean, the man is just absolutely incredible. And of course, when you're considered a boring fighter, that's actually a compliment, because that basically means that you're so damn good that you're slipping punches, you're dodging punches, you're not getting hit, and you're doing everything necessary. Sorry about that.
Okay. You're getting arrested, Brian?
Yeah, I know. They're after me, guys.
Oh, no.
But basically,
it's the flow-mos.
Being called a boring.
It's the flow-mos.
Yeah, I think that he is definitely the best fighter there is right now. I'm a huge Andre Ward fan. I think Andre Ward's pretty much equivalent to him in terms of boxing pureness. But he is a pure boxer. I mean, people keep talking about his defense, but also when he came out against Canelo Alvarez, he was very forward-moving. He was very offensive-minded in that fight against Canelo Alvarez, which allowed him to win the fight, because I'm sure Canelo's camp thought, okay, well, this is a defensive fighter. Our game plan is going to be set up for that. But Floyd Mayweather Sr. deserves a lot of credit for really coming up with a brilliant game plan against Canelo, which was more offensive-minded. And the guy just doesn't do a whole lot of wrong. He doesn't have any huge gaping areas where that can be exploited. So
okay,
yeah.
But Brian, you never answered my question, mate. You'd make a good politician. Is Floyd Mayweather the best fighter ever?
Not ever. And the reason that's so difficult to say too is because he's still fighting. So no, not ever.
Okay.
No. Well, but I think he's the best right now. He's the best right now, but I don't know if he's the best ever.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I'm going to put you on hold for a little bit, and we're going to bring in Paul. Paul, you there?
I am, mate.
Okay, so my first question to you is, what do you think about Mayweather picking Maidana over Khan, or over everyone?
I can understand why, certainly, because, again, Maidana's coming off that big win over Adrian Broner, who everyone looks at as Floyd Mayweather's little protege, little mini-me. So from a marketing standpoint, it makes a lot of sense because a lot of casual fans who don't realise, how little chance Maidana has are going to look and say, "Oh, Maidana beat Adrian Broner, who's like Floyd Mayweather's little brother. The big brother's going to get revenge for his little brother," sort of thing. So I can understand in that sense. But is it a fight? Is it a competitive fight? A fight that I was hoping for? No, not at all.
Yeah, have you give Maidana a hope in hell's chance of winning?
No.
No.
No, in a way. I don't. You know what? I quite like Maidana. He's fun to watch, and whether he wins or loses, he always gives it his all, and he doesn't. I don't think he misbehaves in the ring. I can't remember a time of him ever doing something he shouldn't, like Adrian Broner did. So I don't mind Maidana in that sense, but I don't think he's got an Ice Cube's chance in hell. I really think his style is tailor-made for Floyd Mayweather. Big looping shots, slow feet, doesn't jab an awful lot. Floyd Mayweather's just going to have an absolute field day. If Canelo Alvarez is a better boxer than Maidana, and Canelo Alvarez couldn't hit Floyd Mayweather with a handful of confetti. So what chance has Maidana got, really? Well, I think the last person if he's going to beat Floyd Mayweather at all, he has to hit him clean on the chin. He has to catch him cold. And when was the last time that happened to Floyd Mayweather? The only time I can think of was Shane Mosley, who hit Floyd Mayweather in the second round. And when was that? 4 or 5 years ago now. And ever since then, Floyd Mayweather, I don't think, has got a single bruise in a fight. So, no, I really don't think Maidana's got a prayer.
What do you think about this fight being pay-per-view?
Again, I can understand why. Because Floyd Mayweather knows that there's a lot of gullible people who will buy it. Because there's a lot of people call them casuals, they only watch 1 or 2 big fights a year. And Floyd Mayweather is the biggest star in boxing by a mile. He's the only boxer, I think, in the sport who gets the mainstream media's attention when he fights sorry about that. He's the only fighter who, when he fights, the whole world sits up and takes notice. And he knows there's going to be a lot of interest in his fights regardless. So, and to fight Marcus Maidana, who's just beaten Adrian Broner, everyone knows Adrian Broner is Floyd Mayweather's little buddy. And they're going to say, oh, he beat the little guy. Is the big brother going to get revenge for the little brother? Or is the guy who beat Adrian Broner going to beat the Floyd Mayweather? I can understand why, because there's a lot of gullible fans who will buy into the panto angle. But I don't agree with it being pay-per-view. And if I was over in the US, I wouldn't spend my money on it.
Okay. I just want to ask you one last question before I put you back on hold. Is Floyd Mayweather the best ever?
No. He's definitely the best right now. He's arguably the best of the past 25 years. Is he the best? If you want to ask, is he the best ever? You have to think to yourself, would he have beaten Sugar Ray Leonard? Would he have beaten Roberto Duran? Would he have beaten Tommy Hearns? Maybe even Marvin Hagler, who were all in and around that weight division. And you could, for some of those fights you could say yes, and for some you could say no. But if those guys are all in the top 10, top 15 of the best ever, and you decide Floyd Mayweather wouldn't have beaten them, then how can he be in the same company? Floyd Mayweather, for me, is in the top 15, maybe the top 10, but is he the best ever? No, not in my opinion.
Okay. I'm going to bring Ryan in just a second, but I quickly want to bring back Brian for just a second. Brian, you there, yeah?
I sure am.
You're an American, I've just realised.
I'm here.
You're American, and it's pay-per-view in America. Are you buying this fight?
It's funny. I just found out I may have to go out of town, but if I'm out of town, I'm still going to try my best to catch it. But if I was in, yes, I would be buying it.
You'd be buying this. It's how much? $75. You would spend $75 on that?
No, I was going to go half with a buddy.
Oh, well. Man.
Yeah. I mean, and I know. I mean, it's slightly off the subject, but I think HBO and Showtime they're gonna have probably one pay-per-view fight this year that's gonna bite them in the ass. I think simply because I think they've gone a little pay-per-view crazy because last year there was so many good fights that turned out that could have been pay-per-view. I think they're going a little pay-per-view crazy, and I think they're gonna find their numbers are gonna be a little lower than expected on one of their big fights this year.
Probably this one. Hopefully this one. I just want to put
maybe this one. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to put you back on hold now, Brian, but we're going to bring in No Holds Barred Boxing.
Sure.
Ryan, you there, yeah?
Yeah, man.
Good man. The floor is yours. What do you think about this fight? What do you think about Mayweather picking Marcos Maidana?
I don't mind the fight. I mean, I don't mind it, but I also don't particularly like it because I think Maidana deserved the fight more than Amir Khan did, because Amir Khan, he was coming off of a really poor win over Molina, a really poor win over Julio Diaz, which he, arguably, barely edged it. He has absolutely no right to be fighting Mayweather. That's Amir Khan, that is. If Mayweather beats Maidana and Amir Khan beats Collazo, then I think that fight wouldn't be too bad. But I mean, even then, is really a win over Julio Diaz, Carlos Molina, and Collazo, does that really warrant a fight with Mayweather? I don't know, especially when I go through some names in a sec. But the actual fight itself against Maidana, I don't mind really that much. But what I do mind is, the list of fighters out there who are absolutely significantly better than Maidana, significantly better than Khan, but they've been completely overlooked. And I thought Brian made an interesting point when he said in 20, 25 years' time, people aren't going to look at Mayweather's record and go, oh, he couldn't have fought Bradley because he was with Top Rank. He couldn't have fought Pacquiao, he was with Top Rank. He couldn't have fought Provodnikov, he was with Top Rank. They're not going to say that. They're going to go, why didn't he fight Pacquiao, Bradley, Provodnikov, Margarito, Cotto in 2005, Casamayor, and all of that? They're not going to go, he didn't fight them because. They're going to go, he didn't even fight all of those guys. Costa Tszyu, why didn't he fight Costa Tszyu? So, why has Mayweather chosen Maidana or Amir Khan? It's not very good because there are better opponents. I also liked what Brian just said about Mayweather always fighting on around Cinco de Mayo, because I've just brought up his record and he fought Guerrero 4th of May, he fought Miguel Cotto 5th of May, he fought Shane Mosley 1st of May. Okay, Mosley doesn't have any Hispanic ties, I presume. He fought Oscar de la Hoya 5th of May, and he's now fighting Maidana 3rd of May. So that's an interesting comment that Brian said about him fighting Hispanic fighters. So that does make sense why he chose Maidana over Amir Khan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. I think maybe the only thing that you could say Mosley had sort of, Latino, Mexican was, I think he was slopping up a Mexican girl at the time. Maybe that counts, but if not, okay. Do you give Maidana a hope in hell's chance of winning this fight?
No. Like I said, I don't mind the fight. I don't think the fight is that bad. I mean, it really isn't a very bad fight. It's actually quite a good fight. But I still don't think Maidana's got any chance of winning, because you just have to look at his style and ask yourself if Mayweather has ever fought an opponent like that before. And he's fought loads. Saul Alvarez came and people were going, oh, he's a boxer puncher, but he loves to get up close and personal. He loves to go to the body. And so many people were saying, oh, Saul Alvarez has got such a great chance. And he got completely dominated. How that CJ Ross scored it a draw, who knows? He won pretty much every single round. Mm-hmm. Roberto Guerrero, he's a boxer puncher. He's actually quite a talented fighter, especially when he was back at lightweight. But since he moved up to welterweight, he dominated Andre Berto with inside tactics, with overwhelming sort of power, and he tried to do the same to Floyd Mayweather, and Floyd Mayweather picked him apart. Mm-hmm. Ricky Hatton, he tried to do the same thing, obviously, because that's the only way Ricky Hatton can fight, and he got totally dominated. That was his last knockout. His last knockout victory was Victor Ortiz.
That doesn't count.
Let's not count that.
Hatton. Yeah, let's not count that.
And even De La Hoya. Yeah, even De La Hoya, one of the most skillful boxers of his era. Even he tried to rough up Floyd Mayweather, and some people say he actually won, and a lot of people say that he didn't win. So has Floyd Mayweather ever fought somebody like Maidana? Yeah, plenty of times. And the only two I can think of that caused him any trouble was Jose Luis Castillo 12 years ago. So I think we can probably forget about that one now. That was 12 years ago. I do think that Castillo beat him, credibly beat him. But it was 12 years ago, and Mayweather has definitely improved since then. Don't forget, it was Mayweather's first fight at lightweight. And the only other person I can think who's troubled Mayweather in that time is Miguel Cotto, who he fought 2 years ago. And Cotto genuinely roughed him up, hurt his nose. Mayweather had blood pouring out of his nose. And, that just reiterates why I'm very down on Floyd Mayweather, if you want to say that, because he could have fought Miguel Cotto back in 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008. He could have not retired. Remember when Mayweather had that 2-year retirement? He could have fought him in 2009, 2010, and instead he fought him in 2012. And imagine if a prime Miguel Cotto had got his hands on him in 2007. So, so Maidana's not going to cause him any trouble, but there are two examples where he has had trouble, Castillo and Cotto, but I don't think Maidana's going to be the third.
I think you've pretty much summed everything up there, Ryan. The only thing I've got left to ask you is Floyd Mayweather the greatest ever?
No, he's not the greatest ever. Not even close. He's possibly top 50, something like that. There's just far too many boxers who are above him. I think it's a fallacy for people to think that his record is as good as it is. I'm not going to go through his entire record, but at any given time, he has always chosen to fight the easier option. And this isn't a sort of Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather nonsense. It's got nothing to do with Manny Pacquiao. It's entirely got to do with Floyd Mayweather. At any given time, he has chosen to fight an easier option. At super featherweight, he was there for about 4 years. And although he did fight the likes of Tony Pep, who was very good, Gennaro Hernandez, who he won the title off of, that was very good, and he did fight the likes of Angel Manfredi, who was a better fighter than his record suggested, and he beat the living daylight out of Diego Corrales, who I believe had given up his IBF title to fight Floyd, and he did fight somebody like Jesus Chavez, who, although he had a great record, he had yet to beat any top quality opponents, because that was an early days Jesus Chavez. That wasn't a later days Jesus Chavez, who went on to beat some good opponents. But he didn't fight Joel Casamillor. He didn't fight Celino Freitas, who was the WBO champion. Then he moved up to lightweight. He had the chance to fight them again, and the only decent fighters he fought at lightweight was Jose Luis Castillo, who arguably beat him. Then at light welterweight, he dodged Costa Tszyu, who had dominated Shamba Mitchell, who had dominated Zab Judah, who Floyd Mayweather would later go on to fight. He went on to fight Shamba Mitchell. He went on to fight Zab Judah. He chose Carlos Baldemir over Antonio Margarito. He retired after beating Ricky Hatton instead of fighting Paul Williams, Sergio Martinez, Miguel Cotto, Manny Pacquiao, a rematch with De La Hoya, which was on the cards. He has always... Vernon Forrest he could have fought before Vernon Forrest died when he got shot. And that fight was on the cards for quite a while. That fight could have happened, and it never did. And like Brian said earlier when he made a good comment about people aren't going to remember the ifs and buts or the top-rank wranglings. They're only going to remember who he fought. And people are always going to say, or at least the educated fans are always going to say, hang on a second, Margarito, Cotto, Tszyu, Freitas, blah, blah, blah. I've named at least over the years, I've named about 12 opponents he could have fought instead of I'm not going to say trash, but some of the opponents he has fought over the years have been dreadful, especially in his days at 130 and 135 and 140 pounds. Let's be fair to him. In the last few years, he has fought some very good opponents, and you can't take that away. Saul Alvarez, very credible opponent. Guerrero was a credible opponent, in my opinion, etc. But anyway, I'm waffling on a little bit. But what I will say is, it's a fallacy to think that he could even wash the crotch protector of the likes of Sugar Ray Robinson, Sugar Ray Leonard, Thomas Hearns knocked out Roberto Duran cold in 2 rounds. Floyd Mayweather could not knock out the likes of Thomas Hearns or Roberto Duran or any of those guys. Would Floyd Mayweather have moved up to fight Marvin Hagler? No, of course he wouldn't. He would have made sure he didn't. Would he have fought Mike McCallan? No, he wouldn't have. Would he have fought Sugar Ray Leonard? Taking into account the sort of level of opposition he's fought nowadays, I think that there's a argument to be had that he would never have even stepped in the ring with these guys. And if he had, Thomas Hearns would have brutalized him. Roberto Duran would have. If Jose Luis Castillo is beating Floyd Mayweather, what do you think Chavez, Meldrick Taylor, Thomas Hearns, Sugar Ray Leonard, Jack Britton, so many great fighters of the past would have done to him? I think even guys like Kid Cavalier would have manhandled him. I just don't think Floyd Mayweather is as good as he looks. I think he has even said himself, it's all about the money. Team money, Team Mayweather, Money Mayweather, Gangster Mayweather, slap my bitch up Mayweather. He's all about this gangster nonsense, this money nonsense. And those fighters of the past, they weren't about that. They were about iconic boxing status. And I have so much respect for guys of the past.
That's going to be hard to
So I summed it up.
Hard to beat, yeah. So don't forget, the person who that was No Holds Barred Boxing, not e-boxing news. That was No Holds Barred Boxing. So direct all the hate mail to No Holds Barred Boxing, please. Thank you for taking part in the video, guys, and I hope you all enjoyed it, because I really enjoyed listening to Ryan decimate Floyd's record. Thanks, guys. Thanks everyone for listening.